Hey everyone, Aaron here from Firefly Studios, back again with more coverage from our recent trip to GDC. Last week we released our weirdest things at GDC, but we all know what everyone really cares about, and that's video games. To that end, I've stitched together a little compilation of the most interesting games we saw at GDC from our fellow indie developers. As there were 3 separate sections dedicated to us indies, the video will take you through one group at a time. Now, some of them do get a bit funky at times, but don't worry, because I'm here as your guide, along with fan favourite Nick Tannehill.
Hello.
So, Nick, are you ready to revisit some of the brilliant games we saw?
Yes.
Good. So, we're going to start off with Dare the Devs, and my personal favourite of the whole entire show, and that's Untitled Goose Game.
Ah, fantastic.
This is developed by House. So basically, you run around annoying a poor farmer, taking his keys, taking his boots, and basically tormenting the old soul until, I don't know what the end game is, if he if you just escape the farm or
I'm not
he
sure.
goes into the, shed.
It seems like a sandboxy thing so far. Just basically be a goose, which means be a dick.
The jerk of the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
that was in one of the reviews.
Huge jerk, yeah.
We saw this at a bar, basically, was our first encounter, I think.
Yeah, I think they just kind of dropped the trailer a little while ago and the internet went crazy because obviously it looks very nice. The art styles, it's kind of got this lovely flat colour to it.
Exactly. I think it's that primal urge to be a malicious villain, and the goose is the conduit or the.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I used that right.
Do you work for House? Are you moonlighting?
And next up we have a game which you actually played. There you are, little shoulder action there.
Oh yeah.
Harold Halibut.
Me getting limbered up.
Use that gamepad. So this was a claymation game where I read that every single thing in this game was made physically.
Wow.
And then
that is incredible.
Through some technical mumbo jumbo put into the game.
Wes Anderson, the game.
Exactly.
Or at least Wes Anderson, circa 2018.
There was a little glass cabinet with one of the props, I think it was a red bird, left of the screen. And that is actually in one of the clips I have, which I'll then put in the video.
Oh,
so
cool.
there was actually like a physical representation of something that you saw in
Like
game.
the physical puppet?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, it had a kind of textured feel. It's one of those art styles that you can't really get your head around. Yeah, replicate and also get your head around when you're playing it. You just can't quite figure out how they did it. It looked absolutely incredible. That was probably the best looking game at the show, I think.
Well, I didn't play it much, but was it because it kind of gives me a horror-y vibe just from this? That might just be because even Wallace and Gromit kind of freaked me out as a kid because the whole
Wallace and Gromit freaks you out.
As a kid, not now. I'm not trembling when.
Even as a kid.
Yeah, as a kid, I had some weird shit going on.
I had a hard childhood.
It was all just Wallace and Gromit 24/7. Move on to the Indie Mega Booth with our first game, Firmament. This was our first, the only VR title we experienced at GDC.
I did enjoy Firmament. It had a kind of interesting, I don't know if this is fairly common with VR games, I don't play them that often, but I hadn't seen the sort of teleportation movement being used too much in VR.
Is that jarring or?
No, it's fine. I mean, I think the first time I did it, or the first couple of times I did it, it was a bit jarring. But I think once you get used to it, you just kind of, you kind of flick yourself across the map quite, liberally. You just, you get used to it, and then you figure out, you kind of expect to be in a completely different position. And once you've done that, you're kind of clicking between locations pretty fast.
Yeah.
So
was it a puzzle?
It was like Myst. Do you know what Myst is?
Yeah, I've played Myst.
Or are you too young to play Myst?
No, my sister was a big fan of Myst, and therefore I was also a big fan of Myst.
Right. It's kind of like Myst. Very sort of reminiscent of the Myst art style, but obviously in 3D, whereas the original games were kind of sort of flatter images. Myst kind of scared me as a kid.
I always find that with walking simulators, they're always kind of harrowing in a way. I think it was I can't remember what Vanishing of Ethan. No, maybe
Vanishing of Ethan Carter.
Yeah, but there was the one where you're on an island.
Dear Esther.
Dear Esther. Yeah, that's it.
You found that scary?
I was just walking around.
You scared of poetry?
No. Well, no, but I knew nothing about the game when I loaded it up.
Right.
So I had no idea if it was what it was. A walking simulator.
So you thought it was a horror game.
So I thought it could be. Well, it has very not knowing anything about it when you load it up is very horror which I think is kind of attuned. Well, it's like any sort of walking simulator with the whole most of it being silence and stuff.
I thought for about 50% of Gone Home that I was going to be murdered.
Oh, right. I haven't played Gone Home.
Gone Home's very good.
Move on to Plunge, which I recently found out.
Ooh, you said that with quite gusto.
It wasn't. I thought it was like a toilet thing.
Right.
Because that looked quite porcelain to me.
Ah.
But it turns out it's because you plunge through the dungeon, you get down and down
cool.
and down.
I love it when the mechanics are described in the title of the game.
Yeah. So basically, what this is described as is a isometric turn-based dungeon plunger.
Ooh.
Which, I'd never heard the keyword of plunger before. But,
Nice. So is it kind of like, is the movement all sort of diagonal and isometric?
Yeah, it's turn-based, swipe-based movement.
Okay.
And it's on I think it's only on mobile and tablets and stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
So it's very linked to that whole mechanism of play.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge, you just traverse down some dungeons and fight some enemies and dodge some traps, and much like another game we know.
Plug.
It's just the
I do like the Undertale style graphics as well. That's very cool.
I feel that's
sort of the strong colours against the greys.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with your dungeon plunging.
Yes.
Plunge.
But finally, we have Mild Rumpus. I must confess, I didn't catch much gameplay while we're at the event due to overlooking and etc.
You're fired.
So I've had to dig into the clips and trailers online, but I thought these games were a bit too weird not to include. So first is Pal Mystery by Pal Gal. So yeah, this is Pal Mystery.
Oh, this is scaring me. I never realised I was afraid of hands.
Yeah. So this, I mean, on my script right here, I don't really have a description because I couldn't really think of any words.
Okay, so we've got kind of like sort of paper drawn art style.
Yeah, and you sort of walk through. I kind of feel those hands grabbing at me right now, which is kind of freaky.
Yeah.
But akin to sort of, I feel like early 2000s acid music videos.
Right. Did you do a lot of acid in the early 2000s?
While I was what? While I was like 8 years old. Yes.
Wow,
this is where the Wallace and Gromit thing came in. But yeah, you walk around.
I wish I could do that with my hands.
I just quite like to meet whoever made this.
Yeah.
And ask he or her questions.
And look at their hands.
Yeah. So what's with the hands, bro? So moving on, and we have a museum of Dubious Splendor. It's an adaptation of a series of essays written by Mir Umar Hassan, who I totally know because I'm very well read. Walking through a bunch of levels and experience what I assume is each level is a different essay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got some Colgate, which
more
I
hands.
Is that. Yep, some more hands. Which
seems to be a theme.
It's symbolism at best. I do feel that a psychology degree is in need to sort of decipher what all this symbolism means. Yeah.
Ooh.
But yeah, you have another room here with a giant knife, I guess, and some apples. There is a link there. You can use knives to cut apples.
Yes.
Yes.
With your hands.
With your
Ooh. And you need to keep cool while you're doing that, so you have a fan.
This is the room I dubbed Nick Tanhill's fan club. Because there's only 5.
You're definitely 5 now. 5 more than you've got.
Hey, I've got at least 1, and that's my mum, alright? But yeah, interesting.
I'll have to go look and check it out online.
Very different from our usual sort of strategy and...
Do you not play this kind of game every night when you go home?
I just go home, crack my fingers, and open up Pal Mystery or...
Recite the poetry from Dear Esther.
So those are our top indie titles of GDC 2018. Lots of great and also terrifying stuff. I'm looking at you, the game with weird hands, and there was more than one.
I need to go have a lie down.
Yeah. I want to thank Nick for joining me here today and revisiting some of these exceptional titles.
You're very welcome.
As always, if you like the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe here on YouTube for more game dev goodness every Thursday at 3 p.m.